News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
A decision in favor of the Missoula County Sheriff. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Wednesday, March 29th, 2017. Right now, the sky is cloudy. We have 39 degrees in Missoula. Roads around the area, a combination of bare and wet and bare and dry. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by First Montana Bank, your home for free centennial checking, unlimited cash back every time you use your debit card, online at firstmontanabank.com. One of our top stories today, the Montana Human Rights Bureau has sided with Missoula County Sheriff T.J. McDermott in a dispute involving former Undersheriff Josh Clark. Clark has claimed he was unfairly demoted by McDermott after the two went head-to-head in a local sheriff's race. Clark's attorney, Nicole Seifert, says although the case was dismissed for lack of merit, the hearings officer sided with Clark on many issues.
She found that it was an adverse action against Josh Clark. She found that he was qualified to be a captain and that other people that were promoted were not as qualified. But ultimately, she found that Sheriff McDermott is allowed to be, and this is a quote from the law, foolish or trivial or even baseless when making his decisions, that the law allows him to do that. And that's where we disagree with her.
Seifert says she was disappointed by the decision, but says attempts are underway for further hearings.
We proved that all the reasons that Sheriff McDermott decided to demote Josh Clark, that those reasons were false. We proved that, and the hearings officer said, right or wrong, as long as Sheriff McDermott believed that these things were right, that he could demote Josh Clark. So we disagree on that, and we will most likely be appealing.
An appeal decision will have to be made in the next 14 days. Seifert says Clark has already agreed to appeal, and that move will likely be made in the next few days, quote, after the dust settles, end quote. Montana Senator Steve Daines held a press conference from his office in Washington yesterday, just after returning from the EPA headquarters, where President Donald Trump had signed the executive order halting President Obama's Clean Power Plan.
This executive order calls for an immediate reevaluation of the so-called EPA Clean Power Plan. It lifts job-killing restrictions on the production of oil, natural gas, clean coal, and shale energy, and it also returns power back to the states where it belongs.
Daines said energy security is paramount to both national and economic security.
As we think about our economic security, our national security, and frankly, the entire security of the world is much safer if America is not just energy independent, but if America is energy dominant.
And congressional candidate Greg Gianforte also chimed in, praising Trump's actions.
This is a decisive victory as we continue to fight the war on coal. I applaud President Trump's decision to repeal the EPA's job-killing energy regulations because it protects Montana jobs and gives Colstrip a fighting chance to keep the lights on.
A recent study released by the University of Montana Bureau of Business and Economic Research estimated over 7,000 jobs and $145 million in tax revenues would be lost if the EPA's Clean Power Plan were fully implemented in Montana. An executive order, in a similar story, an executive order by President Trump directing EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt to review the hotly debated Clean Power Plan put in place by President Obama. Public Service Commission President Brad Johnson was pleased with Trump's order. It says the Clean Power Plan was bad news for Montana.
It was an arbitrary set of rules that was going to have devastating impact to our coal industry, to our utilities, and to the state's economy. And at the end of the day, it did nothing to have any meaningful impact on reduction of CO2 at the global level anyhow. So Montana was going to endure all this pain for no gain. And so it's a real plus for us that it's gone.
Johnson wasn't alone. All 5 PSC commissioners praised Trump's order, arguing that the Clean Power Plan's regulatory burden was simply unreasonable.
We were unanimous in our criticism of the plan from the very beginning. It was a largely emotionally driven, feel-good policy. The goal of the Clean Power Plan was to see an all-renewable energy portfolio in this country sooner rather than later, and frankly, in a time frame that was just not realistic.
Most of the regulations of the Clean Power Plan were set to go into place in 2020, but the arrival of a new administration in D.C. meant the plan is unlikely to make it through the year without significant changes. A Billings hospital has fired a nurse accused of stealing narcotics intended for patients and replacing the drugs with saline. The Billings Gazette reports the nurse worked with catheter lab patients at the Billings Clinic. Hospital staff issued letters Monday alerting more than 340 patients who could have been impacted by the theft of fentanyl, possibly dating back to fentanyl. So far, no patients have reported feeling any unusual discomfort during their procedures. Hospital officials were notified of the allegations earlier this month after the nurse's colleague reported irregularities with a cabinet where the hospital stores controlled substances. The letter issued to patients informs them that fentanyl costs will be removed from their bill and that there are no risk of contracting hepatitis C or HIV. A formal inquest will be held in a Montana courtroom today to determine if a police officer was justified in the shooting death of a Wyoming man following a standoff in a hotel lobby. Kyle Killo, 32, of Gillette, was killed in Billings October 27. Authorities say he was shot 3 times after refusing to drop a handgun and then turning toward officers with the weapon. A citizen's jury will hear testimony and then make a recommendation on whether the shooting was justified. The inquest is expected to last just 1 day. Montana Attorney General Tim Fox has chided Senator Jon Tester over his flip-flop concerning the confirmation of Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Fox referred to the Billings Gazette editorial board, who echoed his criticism.
Senator Tester, for some reason, can't make up his mind after months of opportunity to properly vet the candidate. And I think that's why the Billings Gazette editorial board just issued an op-ed saying that Senator Tester needs to get off the fence and tell us what he's going to do, and he should, in their estimation, confirm Judge Gorsuch.
In addition to his other qualifications, Fox pointed out the support of many Indian tribes for Gorsuch.
Probably for many, many years, a candidate for the Supreme Court that has the kind of experience in Indian law that Judge Gorsuch has. And I think that's why Indian tribes across the country, including the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribe, have endorsed his confirmation.
The Republican Party is openly promoting Fox to run against Senator Jon Tester in the 2018 election. Finally, a police report says a man accused of killing one man and wounding another on a double-decker Las Vegas Strip transit bus told detectives he felt threatened by a man who sat near him and was trying to scare him with gunfire. Rolando Cardenas told detectives following the standoff and his surrender Saturday he was unemployed and homeless. He said he thought he heard a large man say he would attack him before he pulled a gun and fired twice. Police say video on the bus didn't show any provocation for the shooting, and the man Cardenas described wasn't injured. A Montana man, however, was killed. A man from Shelby, a Las Vegas man, was wounded. Police say Cardenas threw a police robot out of the bus during a 4-hour standoff and fired twice at a SWAT camera before tossing the gun out the window and surrendering. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy to cloudy skies today with a chance of rain. Daytime highs will be in the low 50s. Rain tonight with our lows in the upper 30s. Scattered showers again Thursday. A break from the wet weather by Friday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.